All right. Welcome to a History of Popcorn review, ladies and gentlemen. Well, this one's special, though, because we are doing not one movie, not two movies. We're doing three movies all at once, which is, I think, is really cool. We're doing Netflix's summer special of the Fear Street trilogy, 1995, 1978, and 1666. Um, are they directly adapted from R.L. Stein books? I don't even really know. Or are they like inspired by those books?
I have no idea. I know those
Because
routine focused and a little grittier, but I don't know if they had the violence that these movies did. So
yeah,
I'm not
these ones
sure.
were like really they're R rated for sure. And normally when I think of R.L. Stein, I think of Jack Black now, which is kind of sad, but
You
I mean
didn't grow up on those
that's what
books?
happened. Not I mean I saw them in the bookstores, but I never read any of them.
Yeah.
And I remember having them at the book fairs in elementary school and stuff. And some people would do. I think the only ones I read by R.L. Stein, I think he had a create your own adventure books or whatever,
Oh,
where
maybe.
you
I
would
don't
just
know.
read. I think you read like you could like choose where you want to go next, and the bottom page would tell you where to go
Oh, that sounds
and
sick.
stuff. It was pretty cool. There
He
was a
was
couple different
formative for
outcomes.
me. So I'm surprised I never heard of that.
Oh wow, maybe it wasn't. I think it might have been R.L. Stein, but yeah, create your own adventure
I'm
book
not
was
actually
really
surprised. He has like 700 books.
There's a lot. I like
Yeah,
looked up the Fear Street
multiple a
books.
year.
Yeah, there's like 50 plus Fear Street books that are just kind of in that realm. I'm like, wow, that's insane. So this series had a lot to take from, but I really liked the fact that they released this movie every weekend. It was like it was like a special event. Like I think
Yeah.
movies and studios need to do that more often in the way of trusting a filmmaker to make an arc by themselves.
Yeah, and it's pretty crazy because this wasn't supposed to be Netflix's thing. Like these were done already, and they were going to
Mhm.
be released in theaters
Oh wow, yeah.
until the COVID happened, and then Netflix bought the rights to it. So I see all these people calling it just like a TV, like a mini series, but these
Mhm.
were supposed to come out in theaters in the same way, apparently.
Oh wow,
Um,
like
that
every
would have been
weekend in
crazy.
theaters.
I don't know if it was going to be weekly or monthly or what it was,
That would
but
have been cool.
they
Yeah.
were filmed together to be released theatrically
Mhm.
until they couldn't do that.
I loved them though. I liked them a lot because they were really reminiscent of old movies and paid pretty good homages to that. Like the '90s was the first one. Like the '80s horror. Do you think is the second one? Like it takes place in the '70s, but it feels really reminiscent of like Friday the 13th or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, those slasher movies they started in the '70s,
Hmm.
like Halloween and stuff. So I think it was directly inspired by that, and I think Friday the 13th was like 1980. I think
Hmm.
like right on the cusp. Um, I could be wrong
I
about
guess
that.
it's
I
just
have no
because it's the
idea.
camp. The camp reminds me of that. But
Yeah, definitely. It was actually
they.
filmed where they filmed one of the Friday the 13th movies too. They used the same camp.
Oh wow, that's really cool. This what was I forgot what it was called, but yeah, I liked out of all three of them. Did you have a favorite one?
Yeah, they actually got better as they went along. I think my ranking is like backwards.
Hmm.
I like them all, but I really think that they built on each other in really smart ways, and it just culminated into something. And that's what's so cool about having one director. And I don't know how many writers this had, but it was
I think
clearly
the director wrote on all of them, and she probably had. I think she had help with the second one.
that's how they
And
need to do all trilogies. It's so
yeah,
much better when you just have one cook in there, maybe two.
yeah. Like if you look back, like what J.J. Abrams was saying about all the Star Wars stuff, he's like, yeah, we just handed it off like a baton race,
It's so stupid, and it
like they
feels that
didn't
way. It
plan it.
reads that way.
Yeah, they need to trust creators of making whole arcing stories. But my friend who I went to film school with was a PA for the post production on this, and he told me like what you said. He's like, I think they get better as they go. I'm like, I don't know, because I really liked the first one. I talked to him about it after the first one, and I was like, I don't know, I really like that first one because of how reminiscent it was of like '90s horror films, and I just I was very excited to see where it went. And then once it started to go backwards, I was worried that it was going to be not the same, but like you said, they gradually get better the more you learn about this actual story of Sarah Fear. And yeah, I hope Netflix or movie studios do this more often of making these arcing horror films or just arcing films that are all already made together and
But
coherent.
are also good standalone too. Like that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like I wasn't super confident about the sequels after watching the first one, but the
Mhm. I was
first one
like,
still felt like it could be isolated on its own and it wouldn't be.
mhm.
So I mean, it's cool, and it was a risk, and it really paid off because they did it smartly. I think.
Yeah, I liked that they brought in Gillian Jacobs for this, and having Maya Hawke, like the actors in this are very good. Like having Maya Hawke be the first inciting like kill was really good. It was really obviously reminded me of Scream because of Drew Barrymore, but like Maya Hawke is upcoming and everyone kind of knows her. I feel like at least by face, especially on Netflix because of Stranger Things now. But I was really pleased
I
with
have no idea
this.
who we're talking about right now. Is
The,
this
the first person that gets
the one
killed.
from the store in the mall? Okay.
Yeah, that's you haven't heard of Maya Hawke?
No, I have no idea.
What?
I've seen the first season of Stranger Things, the first season and a
Okay,
half.
she's in the third season, so
Yeah, there
she's
we
not.
go.
She
Sorry.
doesn't show up for a while. But that's
My
Ethan
bad.
Hawke's and Uma Thurman's daughter.
Oh, okay. So I'm familiar with that person before. I know she
Yeah,
exists. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
I'm just yeah. I like that because she's probably going to be around for a long time. I mean, Quentin Tarantino has thrown her name around. If he was going to make a Kill Bill 3, he was going to make her the main
Yeah,
character,
I
which
saw
would
that
have been
article the
cool.
other day. Yeah.
So yeah, that's that girl, and I think that would be really cool to see her explode and be like, look it, she was only in a little bit of this movie, but it was like an important role. But I I did like the last one a lot. It might have ended up being my favorite just because of how they ended up doing the twist of everything. I actually really liked the twist of who like is causing all of this chaos through the time. And
Yeah, and it unraveled so well too.
yeah, I was like, how are they going to keep going with this? Like, how am I going to learn something that I don't already know? And like, how are they going to like they are like I thought they beat it in the second one, and it's like, how are they going to continue this? And I liked how, I mean, I feel like this could have been there could have been a fourth one that they could have expanded on the modern times of the last one and jumped back to 1995. But I like that they set it up in 1666 and then ended up in present day for like the last 30 minutes or something.
I thought
I,
it
I
was smart to
did
do it this way.
I did like that a lot, and it's just one of those things where I was like, I kind of hope there's more.
I
Like,
think they have a bunch of books to pull from. And I think
oh yeah,
as much as I love the story, I think to me it feels concluded.
hmm
Both of the cities and everything.
oh yeah, definitely for the cities, yeah.
I think that post credits thing was kind of just like a fun little gag that is still
Mhm.
reminiscent of the movies that the movie's inspired by. Or I don't know if it really means anything. I would
Well,
love for them to go
I
back
hope
to this
so.
model though.
Yeah, me too. I feel like I don't know what era it was, but there was this time on TV where it was like special events of like a 3-night premiere stuff, and I think
Mhm.
I love that they did that and brought it back.
Just in general, we have to go back to the whole like waiting in between episodes.
Yeah,
The binge model is so messed up, and I think it's clear because people finish it in a night, other people finish it later. There's
hmm
none of that communal talking about it where everyone's waiting for a week.
hmm
So it doesn't build naturally. It's just there, then it's over because Netflix does not advertise on their own.
yeah. I
Um,
feel like Disney Plus really awoken that in streaming services. They're like, oh, we don't have to put it all out
realizing
right
the
away.
old model is the way to do it. Like let the
Yeah,
viewers advertise it for you because Netflix, they don't have they ever advertised something that wasn't already popular through word of mouth? Like they dropped
yeah,
Stranger Things when it came out. People liked
hmm
it and they started putting the billboards up.
yeah, yeah. That's true.
Infuriating.
It happens so quick with this. With it's just like a burst. Yeah, I really like what they're doing with this. I want to know if this director has done much else of Fear Street because she killed it. Like she made very
Yeah.
distinct choices for each one. I feel like
It's
that
cool
made
because
them all different.
it almost feels like other directors because they have their own vibe, each one of them, kind of like
Exactly.
relevant to the time that they take place in, and they're so perfect. I think the one that's a little wonkiest to me is the first one.
Mhm.
When it comes to the period, to me, it doesn't
Yeah.
feel especially 90s. It feels like it has a bunch of 90s artifacts and it looks really cool, but it also has all of the. It just felt like it looked like a Stranger Things type thing. It
Yeah.
felt kind of out of time to me.
Yeah.
Um,
I agree with that.
that being said, though, the needle drops, which everyone was complaining about, uh, just because they were so frequent, I thought were awesome and stellar in the first one,
Mhm.
and it made it a
That's
lot
how
of
they
fun.
really had to capture it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that
That's
it's weird because each movie kind of builds on my issues of the one before it
Mhm.
until everything is like perfect. It's just I don't know. It's really impressive stuff. I
Yeah.
think I counted like 20 needle drops in the first movie, and they were all great songs.
Oh yeah. Wow. Yeah. I think that's what always kept me like pulled back in. I'm like, oh yeah, this is a period of time that I'm supposed to be experiencing with all the music and stuff. It turns out this is only the second feature like projects that the director has made. Her first one was from 2014, and then she did some of the Scream TV series, 2 episodes of that. And yeah, I am glad that she made her mark on these 3 movies because I think she's going to end up working quite a bit. Her name's Leigh Janiak, I think that's how you say it.
Hmm.
And um, yeah, I'm just excited to see more of her work.
I want her to keep making horror stuff.
Oh yeah, she
'Cause,
definitely. I feel like she's gonna go in that direction because everything she's done has been horror so far. I
yeah,
feel like.
one thing that I love about this is that there are horror movies that are made for younger audiences, and there are movies made for older audiences.
Hmm.
But it's kind of a thing of the past to have a movie that's strictly kind of vague about its target audience. And this one, it has all of the teen drama and
Yeah.
all of the arguments and all that high school stuff that I love about the horror movies that I grew up with.
Hmm.
But then it also has all of this violence that you don't get for PG-13 horror,
Yeah.
kind of thing that you would stumble on if you, like me and you, like 90s kids, where you would watch a movie that comes out a little bit before you were born and you're like, oh my God, these are violent.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so it kind of feels like in that way it could be kind of a gateway to a lot of people, and I'm just super happy about these movies because they're so violent and they're so gory, and it's shocking because it's also so fundamentally I don't know, it feels like teen horror that has like a spin to it that is really kind of unique.
Yeah. It's like when
That
the
I loved.
first person, like not when the first person dies, but like yeah, as the movie goes on, especially toward the end of the first one, it's just like, well, these kids aren't gonna die. Like if they've lasted this long, they're just gonna solve the problem. And then like things like in the last, like if everything just goes crazy in the last parts of the first one, it's like, oh, it's like, and especially they like double down on it with the camp one because those are literal kids. They're like
Yeah,
kids, a kids camp, and
can we talk about how insane the climaxes to all these movies are?
they get
Like
so out of hand. It's just anxiety ridden. I'm like, wow.
the first two movies I think have and I need to like preface this by saying I know these movies aren't strictly made for me.
Right.
um like I'm a little older than I think their target audience, so like the first 40 minutes of these movies I'm like, this is fine, but it's not all that exciting for me, you know.
Yeah.
um but they build to like these insane shocking climaxes, and they have these amazing scenes that are just mind-blowing.
Yeah. I definitely go like unexpected in a lot of ways, and like in like the way that a lot of horror films I feel like try to or have been trying to do, but it's almost you see it coming, but you don't see a lot of the stuff coming in this movie, and it's very
Especially just like the
refreshing.
general trilogy ending twist, I didn't see it coming really.
Yeah, I actually was really satisfied with that twist and how they revealed it because I liked it. I won't say it on this of how it ends because it is a good, the way everything unravels is very, very cool. And I
Yeah,
wouldn't expect something like super out of the box for theories if you're just listening to this, but it goes in a direction that's pretty satisfying, I think, to viewers of mystery and horror that you didn't even
yeah,
really think about, I feel like.
and it's satisfying too, right? It's like totally
The
it,
conclusion, like you said, you were satisfied with it. Like it's like that is the end of the story, and it feels that way too. It's just
it
like I
wraps up
want
everything,
more.
and it
Just want
uses
more.
all of the like all these small details and things that might have bugged me in one movie. There's a
Yeah,
reason for it later, and it's just smart, and that's what happens when you plan these things out.
yeah,
Like in the first movie, just to get specific, the first movie, the skull killer guy, you know,
right.
I was like, this is boring. I don't like him. He's wearing a goofy little costume, and he's like a little
Yeah.
short, and not super easy to it's not super easy to like find menacing.
Mhm.
And then it references like these past murders, and it has like a montage of them. I'm like, oh, they could have done one of these guys. You know, these costumes are so much cooler. And then they do
And then they
all of these
do.
other movies. And then in the second movie, they do all this stuff where I'm like, oh, it would have been cool if they do that, and then they do that.
Yeah,
It's absolutely
I would
amazing.
I wouldn't mind seeing a spin-off of the little kid with the baseball
Oh
bat.
my
That kid's
god.
insane.
When I
He's
saw
insane.
that little tiny 1 second clip from the first movie, I was like, why'd they do the skull killer? They could have had this kid with the baseball bat. This kid looks fucking terrifying. Sorry.
Yeah, just having a little kid like just that's
Yeah.
like Chucky reminiscent of, and I feel like I want to rate each movie by itself, which
Mhm.
I didn't do previously. I would have to think about it now, but
Yeah,
what
me neither.
out of 5, what would you give Fear Street 1995, the first one?
Uh, 94, Elijah.
Oh, I got it
94.
wrong.
Um,
Wow, my notes are wrong. Okay, 94.
God, I don't do these scores. I don't know. It's hard. I would give it. I'd say it's like strictly in the middle for me. It's like a
Mhm.
pretty. It's a good movie that I think has a kind of. Um, it takes a while to get going, but once it does, I think it's a really fun movie to watch. I'd probably give it like a 2.5, 2.4 out of 5.
That's a yeah. I would give it around a 3 out of 5 because I just really like it does stand alone. It's actually probably the only one that doesn't stand alone because of the cliffhanger. I mean, cliffhangers I feel like shouldn't count, but it does leave the biggest opening. Well, they all kind of have cliffhangers, don't they? No, not the
But they all
second
happen like after it wraps up. So if you ignore the last 30 seconds of the movie, you're fine.
Yeah, it's just like an epilogue type situation. It's like, okay. But yeah, I would give it like a 3 out of 5 because I really liked it. And the
Mhm.
rest I think are still going to be in the threes. For like the second one, I would probably give it like a, or no, I'd probably give the second one like a 2.8 out of 5, which is
Oh, so you're going
slightly
down for
lower.
the second one.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Um, yeah, the second one I think still has that problem where the first, not half, maybe the first act of the movie, and I
Mhm.
also think it doesn't need to be 2 hours long. The second one I don't think needs to be 2 hours. Um, but I think that there's a cast of characters that are really interesting, and there's a great sequence underground that I love, and then there's an amazing climax. Weaker
Yeah.
needle drops in the second one. All the needle drops in the second movie are totally obvious, and I was
Yeah.
like, I don't want to hear Wayward Son again. You need to stop. I don't need to hear Kansas or Blue Oyster
Yeah.
Cult, and it's over. But I think it did more interesting stuff with the villainous characters. I'd probably give it like a 2.8. You know what? I think I'll give the same thing as you. I'll give it 2.8.
It's good. And like, yeah, it is a little long, but they have to establish all these new characters and have you like them. So you worry about them. And
But the
so
first
that's the,
one did that, and it was shorter.
yeah, it was. I think it's because they knew that they were going to draw out these
Yeah,
characters because they
they were
shot
gonna
the
go back
first
and
one and the third one back to back because they had cast members come back for the first one and the third one, and they're not
oh
in the second one, so they shot the second one later
yeah.
because there's only like there's no one else, there's no one in that flashback. Yeah, they're all young versions. So, and I wanted more Gillian Jacobs. That's just a personal preference,
Yeah, totally.
but
She's the best.
that's okay. So yeah, I think
You
the
are
third
you a
one's my
Community fan
favorite.
too?
Yes, I
Yeah,
am.
there we go.
She's very funny.
Yeah.
Um, I think the best one is the third one because of it reminded me of The Witch. It reminded me
Oh
of
yeah.
like just that well because it's that era basically, and it was gritty and like not as like violent, but it was gritty in a way because of how everyone is in that time.
Yeah, everyone's really like genuinely filthy looking.
Yeah,
It
and
gives it
it's
as
really
kind
really
of
really
yeah.
good. So I would give that the last one like a 3.3 out of 5, which is pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
I also thought third one was the best. And I think this one justified its length. It had all the reasons in the world to be 2 hours long.
yeah,
Which for
I
me,
didn't
it's
feel the
it's
length on that one.
me
Yeah,
neither. It's hard for me to think a horror movie. Horror is my favorite genre. It's all I care about. I live and die by it.
yeah,
Barely any of them need to be 2 hours long.
yeah.
This one I was fine with it. I thought it was an interesting choice to reuse the actors, but I thought
Yeah.
almost all of their accents were awful.
Yeah,
There was
that's what
like
I
two or
thought too.
three where I was like, okay, you're good, but some of them I was like, you guys, come on.
Yeah,
Um,
I kind of that's what kind of worried me too. I'm like, how are we gonna dive into this one having it be the same actors being in this time? It kind of threw me off at first. I'm like, oh no, I'm not gonna be able to dive into it. Like like the little brother, he kind of threw me off a little bit. I don't know why. I think it was his accent, but
he kept going from Scottish to something
yeah,
else, and I want to. He was amazing in the '90s setting.
yeah,
He's probably my favorite character from the whole series. I thought he was great, but his accent was, and so was I guess she played Sarah in the third one in the scene. I thought her accent was kind of crazy. I was like not feeling it.
yeah,
But I thought they
yeah,
were generally still great characters and really fun to watch. And I love the religious paranoia in
oh yeah,
horror because it gives everything kind of a gothic twist that I love.
hmm
Um, but then again, the witch paranoia is always kind of hard to watch. Uh, but they put a really amazing twist on it and wrap it all up really, really well. And there's two Pixie songs in the third one, so I love that. I'd probably give it like a 3.3, 3.4. Wow, we're like on the money with these ones. Is that what you gave it
Wow,
to?
yeah. I mean those. they're good. I like them a lot. Like,
Yeah, these are great. I mean, this is how I use Letterboxd, where like a 5 out of 10 is like fine, right?
mhm.
So these are good movies. I really like them a lot, and I think together, just because of the way they build on each other, not even like an average score thing, but I think genuinely each movie makes the one before it a little better and
Yeah,
the one
that's
after
why
it
I want to
better.
rate the whole series as a whole. Would probably be
Yeah.
higher than what I'm actually giving each individual movie, because the actual trilogy itself is it's I feel like what a lot of movies are striving to be like now,
Hmm.
and they just don't know how to nail it anymore because they take so much time in between. It's so like for the whole series, I'd probably give it like a 3.9 out of 5, maybe. Yeah, it's probably like a
Yeah.
3.9 because it's like a package deal thing. It's like it's one of those things where you can have watch one summer again. Like it seems like it could be like a ceremonial, not ceremonial thing, but like
It's an event, and it's
yeah, you could
the
like
way it
just binge
exists
them
is
together. Not well, like yeah, you can make a whole event night out of it. Like every couple of years, I feel like with friends, it's just like, oh yeah, this
yeah,
is a lot of fun.
the way that they exist as like this kind of event structure is like totally inherent to the films itself,
Yeah,
um, to the point where it's really hard to separate them, but it's also cool because they do work together or
yeah,
separately.
exactly. Yeah,
Um, and I also, again, these are not for, I'm almost 25 years old.
hmm,
Uh, they're not for me, and they do a lot of amazing things for just queer horror in general that like I can't fully appreciate as but is important, and it's like amazing, and it's like it's super. I don't know. These are like really powerful movies. These are strictly they're people. They're 3 dimensional and they're great
yeah,
characters. And
exactly.
as a whole, their relationship is like totally imperative to the films, and it's like super
Yeah,
incredible to watch unfold scene by scene. There's no one scene that is doing anything crazy, but it's just this relationship that builds throughout the series, film by film, kind of culminates into this big, incredible thing.
yeah. The
Right?
art, yeah, it all accumulates. Yes.
Yeah. So for that arc alone, separate from the movies one by one, I think
Mhm.
is what's so crucial to me. And I think I probably give the whole series like a 3.7. My decimals are always kind
Yeah,
of nonsense, but
yeah,
um, it's hard to rate because it's how it makes you feel and it's what it is. It's a
yeah.
new risky type of thing that they're doing, and I think it paid off. And I think it was really cool. Do you have a scene highlight of the series? Because I have one,
A scene highlight.
like a favorite scene.
I mean, at the end of the first one, I was really shocked by the results of the
I hear you
friends and
dancing around it. Yeah.
everything. Yeah, I was like, I didn't expect all that stuff. Like with the bread, is it a bread slicer? I think.
Yeah, or
I
cake, or I
wasn't
think something.
expecting that. Like once everything like when that started happening, I'm like, oh my God. Like I was just saying
Yeah, and every
this
movie
is
does it
going
too.
so well for everyone.
Yeah.
That was probably the scene that stuck out to me the most, probably.
Yeah, I thought all of the climaxes were amazing, and a lot of the kills were. I think in the second one, there's a period of time where all like 4 kills in a row were just like him appearing, and then they're like
Yeah,
then the camera cuts away, and you just like hear something. And I was like,
yeah,
these are kind of lame, but then there was a bunch of great ones in that movie separately.
yeah,
But my favorite scene is in the first one, and the little brother is playing Castlevania Bloodlines on like a Genesis or something.
yeah.
He's wearing an Iron Maiden shirt, which I had to rep it, and then he's listening to White Zombie, More Human Than Human, which is like banger. I did this exact thing, dude, when I was a kid.
You
Because
just
all of
felt
my
heard and
stuff,
represented.
everything I got was like 10 years old when I got it when I was a kid.
Yeah,
So I was playing Castlevania, listening to White Zombie, wearing an Iron Maiden shirt. I saw myself like I've never seen myself before in a movie. So
that's
for that
awesome.
alone, I love this. I love these
When
films.
they nail it like that. So yeah, I would recommend these movies as events, and don't watch them all in one sitting unless you're with friends and making a night of it. But take your time to like really invest into these movies and let them soak in, because they make you question where it's gonna go, and ultimately your questions will be answered. And I think in a satisfying way. I think you
Yeah, totally.
agreed on that too. Yeah.
The more I talk about it, the more I'm like, I'm so glad these exist.
Yeah, I'm glad they're out now, and I'm glad I really want them to continue with and do them well, like these weekly releases or summer event things,
Hmm.
because they nailed it with this first one.
Yeah, and more horror that is like accessible to kids, but also like brutally violent.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Right
Right
on.
on. I'll see you at the next episode or review. It'd be cool to have a whole horror episode and you can finally meet Justin because you still haven't met my co-host.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Cool. All right. I will talk to you again on the next one. Thank you again for taking the time to do this. And if you're watching this, thank you guys for taking the time of watching this. It was a pleasure.
Hell yeah.
I guess I have to do the outro. Make sure to like and subscribe and follow us on Spotify and Apple and all that stuff.
Don't like it. Don't subscribe.
Just and yeah, new episodes every Tuesday. Compliment Riley's hat in the comments. Matches his drink.
Mainly my hoodie.
I'll talk to you at the next one. Thank you again.
Cool. Have a nice day, man.
You too.